Today is Saturday, February 1st, and I'm stressed. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl, and I can't sleep. I'm full of emotions and anxiety, and it's been a really tough week. If you know me well, you know that I'm a huge Lakers fan, and the passing of Kobe Bryant really affected me, and it's been tough to really function all week at work and doing videos and all the production of the videos. But I'm going to continue to push through. In fact, this is episode 6. And I'm actually pretty excited because the more videos I do, the more confident I become. And it's getting much easier for me. And so I want to thank you for tuning in and thank you for the encouragement and the comments that I get on LinkedIn. It really does lift me up and it really does help me push through and overcome my own internal demons and really just jump in and talk about the things that are important to me. On that note, I want to talk about today influencer marketing again, and it's kind of a series that I'm talking through and I've been talking about the last couple of weeks. This week, we're talking about rules of engagement. Now, I think very black and white. My brain is linear, and that's how I function. It's how I plan. It's how I build programs. I have ADD diagnosed, so I like to make sure that everything is step by step, because whenever there's so much things going on in my life, I just get confused and nothing ever gets done and I get irritated. It helps me contextualize a situation. And so when I think about engaging with influencers, I like to break them up into 4 different groups. Now, before I jump into those groups, I want to talk quickly about peso, not the currency. When I think about peso, it's an acronym for paid media, earned media, shared media, and owned media. And companies use that to plan, right? You can plan content, you can plan programs. Activating influencers across all channels is always going to be important and critical, but most likely you're not going to want to do this all at the same time. It's a progression. It requires nurturing influencers through the purchase funnel in a way, right? You start at the left and you move to the right. Now, I'm seeing a trend out in the market where a lot of B2B influencers are kind of quote unquote for hire, right? You can find influencers to invite to an event or have them write a blog post for you or what have you. And there's a monetary exchange there. But that's not usually where you start, right? It has to be a progression. And now what you have here is peso, but not in the same order as the acronym, right? You start with earned media because that's kind of the easy way in. Anybody could do this. Whether you work in PR or marketing, it doesn't require a lot of effort, right? You've identified the top 50 influencers. You might have added them to a list. You might have segmented them based on, certain verticals or topic areas. And you might go in once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day and scroll through the list and like, comment, share. Like, comment, share. And that's kind of like what you should be doing anyway, right? In addition to your branded content, your paid social and everything else. Now, shared media is that next step. And shared media is another way of saying social media. And shared media was a term that wasn't used initially when paid, earned, and owned was the kind of the thing back in the day. It's another way of saying social media. And it's because you're sharing a media with an audience. And that audience could be your customers. It could be your partners. And in this case, it's influencers. Now, the way that I like to do this is when you think about shared media, it's essentially creating content and creating content based on either what influencers are talking about or what influencers have shared. You're acknowledging their expertise in the market and they're going to see that. And what happens is they then engage back with you, right? They may follow your account. They may engage back with you. And that's exactly what you want them to do. What's also important in this phase is adding influencers into a custom listening panel. I talked about audience intelligence a few weeks ago, and this is the same concept, but you're listening to influencers, right? You're listening to a much smaller group of people. You put them into a database, maybe it's BrandWatch or some other intelligence platform, and you just monitor what they're saying, either as a group or individually. And you can get some really interesting insights that will then inform that content you're creating and also be just that much more relevant to that audience. Now then you move into paid media. It becomes a little bit more sophisticated. It's more expensive and it's a little bit more strategic, right? So assume you're engaging with, let's say 500 or 1,000 top influencers and journalists in digital transformation. There I go again with that term. And you upload them to a platform, let's just say Twitter for now. Well, first you create content based on what influencers are saying and then target them with that content. So it's almost like a cycle, right? You identify your influencers, you put them into a panel, you listen to what they're saying, you create content based on what they're saying, then you target those same influencers. And the beauty about this is that it works extremely well. Also, going back to, a few episodes ago about audience intelligence, I talked about the opportunity to really identify those unique interests and characteristics that audiences have. Now, you can do the same exact thing with influencers, right? Because an influencer or a group of influencers, they are an audience, right? They're equivalent to an audience. It's just a matter of semantics. So imagine building an audience of influencers, figuring out what characteristics and unique interests that they have, and using those characteristics, those insights, those unique interests, and using those to inform your segmentation in other channels. So moving into owned media, there's really a lot you can do here. It's as simple as inviting an influencer to blog on your channel, whether it's your corporate blog, whether it's your newsroom or your company, LinkedIn page. You engage with them. You've gone through all these processes and you've built a relationship. Now you're asking them, you're inviting them to be a part of your brand by participating in thought leadership and creating content on your blogs. Other ways to do this are to invite them to contribute to an ebook or a white paper on a topic. You give them full editorial control, and then you promote it with very targeted creative content. You put quotes and data points and you put it out there on paid social, and they're going to share it and they're going to engage with it. And let me tell you, spending 6 months doing this will produce results. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow's the Super Bowl, so I'm going to sign off, try to get to bed early and be prepared, wake up early for a really long day tomorrow. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be hectic. And I pray that it's not a close game. We have to blow them out. And again, I want to just thank you again for spending time with me and engaging with me in social and sharing my content. I really do appreciate it. And I really do hope you're learning something. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week.